Hello everyone, and welcome to Adventure Time Theory. This is the show where I discuss various Adventure Time theories and other lore. Let's dig right into this. Now what if Finn was raised by actual feral dogs? In the show, Finn was raised by two talking dogs that had the characteristics and mannerisms of humans. Finn actually seemed to develop relatively well. But what if Finn was raised by real feral dogs? Well, if Finn was raised by animals, he would be known as a feral child. Feral children are kids that are removed from society at a very young age, either by the child's own doing or by malicious parents. Feral children usually have built little to no social skills before leaving society, and when returning to society, they have to be retaught how to function in a civilized community, if at all possible. In Finn's case, he was found abandoned in a forest and then raised by his two surrogate parents. There was a real-life circumstance just like this that happened about 150 years ago in an Indian jungle. A boy named Dina Sanachar was an orphan boy who had gone missing when he was an infant and somehow wound up in a wolf's den. He was discovered by hunters who witnessed the boy walk on all fours into a wolf's den. They later rescued the 6-year-old boy and took him back to society. At first, the boy displayed the mannerisms of a wild animal, with him tearing off clothes and eating food from the ground. The only notable development he made was that he eventually ate cooked meat rather than raw meat. The boy unfortunately never learned to speak. Based off this, I can craft my theory. I believe that Finn would have developed to act feral and wild, just the same as his adoptive animal parents. He would have lost out on the early childhood cognitive development he would need to walk, talk, think critically and clearly. If one of the humanoid beings in Ooh found him and tried to teach him to live in a civilized world again, this would be unlikely, as he would need to learn and develop the needed skills and cognitive changes. This is because a lot of feral children can only use the skills they learned before they became feral. They unfortunately can't develop much past this point. And moving on to Finn's appearance, Finn's body type in the show has some similarities and differences to what Finn would actually look like in this theoretical situation. A similarity is having thin arms and legs, which would be likely because as an animal you have to scavenge all day for food that you may or may not find. This would give this Finn a lower body weight due to a lack of variety in his diet and probably a low caloric intake. A difference in his appearance would be his posture and how he walks. Finn's posture would be changed due to being quadrupedal. As you can see from this picture of Dina, his shoulders were all hunched up, and I would assume this was his natural posture. Depending on how long Finn walked on all fours, Finn possibly would have done irreversible damage to his joints and tendons, which in turn could make it so he would be unable to walk upright. This actually happened to two little girls back in the early 1900s that were condemned to being quadrupedal, or walking on all fours, for the rest of their lives. So instead of the bipedal Finn that we know and love, this Finn would look something along the lines of this. Finn would most likely act very violently to interactions that came from animals or sentient beings that could possibly pose a threat, which would make rescuing him difficult and very dangerous. Also, Finn could potentially have heightened senses and superhuman agility. For instance, feral dogs have a strong sense of smell. Perhaps living with them for a lengthy time would allow Finn to adapt his nose for survival. This has happened before in real life to the two girls I mentioned prior. They could smell a clump of meat right across the orphanage's 3-acre yard. Finn could have been able to run much faster than a normal human, with him being conditioned to run at the same speed of a feral dog over the course of several years. A similar circumstance has also happened in history. There was a Syrian boy who had been raised by gazelle, oddly enough, but gazelle are naturally quick runners, able to run and sustain a speed of 30 to 40 miles an hour. The Syrian boy was amazingly able to keep up. He was estimated to have been running at least 30 miles an hour, literally unreal. The people who rescued him had to use a jeep just to get to him. Feral dogs, however, can sustain speeds closer to 30 miles an hour. So in order for Finn to keep up, Finn realistically may have been able to achieve speeds in the high 20s. To put that into perspective, Usain Bolt's average speed is 23 miles an hour. His maximum speed is 27 miles an hour. He's an Olympic sprinter. It's just crazy to think about that, just simply mind-blowing. But anyway guys, I will see you all in the next Adventure Time Theory video. Peace out guys.